All right, welcome everyone. This is the April 2024. I actually had to look down at my clock to make sure I got that right. The April 2024 edition of Cloudy County, your land grant themed training community where we talk about all kinds of things Microsoft 365 related. I'm Dwayne. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, and my BFF is Joe.
I'm Joe Gasper, Microsoft MVP and Systems Administrator.
Yep.
Looking forward to our April call here.
Couple of nerds just talking about nerdy things. So we are going to go big this month. We said this right before the recording started, but I want to say it on record so it's on YouTube. We missed announcing last month that last month was actually the 2-year anniversary slash birthday of Cloudy County's inception. So this was a spinoff of kind of another thing that Joe and I run that's related to a singular university. And that's boring, right? Not that it's boring, but that's not out there. It's just one university. And so we wanted to start something that was land grant themed for all land grant universities. So if you find this kind of content valuable and you're from a land grant, tell your friends, have them show up, have more people come, the more the merrier. This month, we're going to be talking about some tools that you likely already have in your toolbox. One of our very first sessions ever, we talked about licensing. We talked about how to see what kind of license you have. And so today's topic is going to be Teams webinars and Teams town hall meetings. And these are big, like large format meeting options that you have available to you in Teams. And when I say large format, think about the fact that almost every extension agent out there that uses Teams has a tool in their toolbox that will support 10,000 people on one call. And you already own it. Like you don't have to do anything special, to do it. So we're going to show you how to do that today. But before we get into that, the meat and potatoes of the call, Joe's going to take us through some news. Things are always changing in Microsoft 365. There's always something new to talk about. It's just, yeah, it's a lot. So we kind of try to digest it for you and give you a rundown of what's new. Joe, what do you got for us?
Great. I'll get us started here, get a share going. So just a couple little items that have shown up in Teams. I'm in Teams 2.0, Teams 2.1, new Teams. And something that we can do in chat now is forwarding a chat message into another chat or another group chat. So if you're maybe sometimes you're working with maybe just one other person in a chat, some good information comes up, you want to share that maybe out into a group chat, we now have this option to move that content. People know kind of where it came from. Not have to copy and paste and put it someplace else. So that's a nice little feature that again moves you into a one-on-one chat or into a group chat.
I'm going to jump in and say I use this a lot. If I receive a question from someone via chat and I'm in another group chat with like a whole bunch of experts that may have the answer, I'll forward it over to that group chat and just say, hey, everyone, can you take a look at this question? And they will, use that brain power of that whole group chat and then come back with my answer. Huge, huge benefit, I think.
Yeah, we have like a group chat of sysadmins, and sometimes the help desk might need to help us once we come up with a solution or something like that. So we could take the last chat that we've talked about and move that into another group chat. So it's just a nice little feature there. Next feature that is nice is I'm going to go into a team and just want to make sure that you know that this is out there. We've been getting some notifications from Microsoft to just, this went away and now it's come back. We just want to make sure you see it. Is when I do an announcement post, what I get now, I've got a little designer icon down here, a little custom background, and we've got the ability to add our images now. That been rolling out, should be rolled out fully now. So you should be able to go in and add your own images like we used to be able to. When you do that, you're going to get a little AI going on in the background, and you can enhance that image here if you want, or just take the image as is. So yeah, we're back to having basically full fidelity there with what we're used to, with some nice enhancements around using Designer built right in. Next feature is going to move on and look at, get over to this tab. Well, let's just open up lists. Going to open up Microsoft Lists. Now, we've talked about Microsoft Forms before, and we love Forms for bringing in data, collecting survey data, collecting data in the field. Microsoft Forms makes it real easy on a mobile device to collect information. And that goes easily into a Microsoft Excel file, or that file could maybe live in your OneDrive even, or even in Teams with some automatic synchronization. What often we talk about, though, is taking that data and moving it kind of the next step and into SharePoint lists. And a SharePoint list gives us some other options. We have, it's sort of a cross between Excel and a database. We can easily build some workflows off of that. We can make columns that are choices, so we get consistent data. So if we just take a look at pre-built SharePoint list here, we can do some things where we've got some people columns that are nice to have. We can have colored pills for these drop-down choice options. So these are just some nice features that we can do in lists. We can see here it's automatically keeping the first column as we kind of scroll around. That's just kind of stuff that's built in. Often, we like to take Microsoft Forms and use Power Automate, which is another process, another app to learn to get data into this format, where again, we can do some automations built around that and set up some rules built right in nicely. But now what we've got is the ability to put a form built in right on top of the SharePoint list that end users in your organization can access and complete and fill out without having any access to your list. So you're going to start seeing, if you don't yet, this forms option at the top. I'm going to click that form, and we're just going to create a new form. And just straight out, right away, it's going to just have all the columns available to us on this form. So this sort of looks like what we get with Microsoft Forms. Here's our list of all the columns that are available. And we can decide to do some things in here very easily, is just showing and hiding the options that are on this form. So let's say in one of these options here was approved. So the concept of this SharePoint list was get the data in. Typically, we're doing it from perhaps a Microsoft Forms to Power Automate, and then coming into this list. And then someone else through an approval process would come through and decide if this travel request is okay. And if it was okay, check the approved box. Well, we don't want to give someone who's asking for the travel request to have access to that approval and approve their own travel. That'd be nice. So I'm just going to uncheck that box. The other thing we can do easily here is reorder these. So maybe I've got, let's put destination a little higher. So I can kind of drag and drop that and move that up. I can move, let's move the hotel up. You can see on this side, it's reflecting the hotel quickly on this, on the view of this. That's what our form is going to look like. We have a few other little options. We can change right now some colors. And under settings right now, we just have a completed response. Once we get this form set up, we can copy a link to that form and send it out to whoever we want. Now, right now, it's going to be anybody in your org is going to be able to fill this out. So it's really up to you to get the link to the right people. I'm sure there'll be some later, better controls around that perhaps. But again, the one thing that's important here to remember is access to complete the form does not give people access to the SharePoint list. And that's sometimes for if you've done some Power Automating and some processes through that with forms, sometimes that SharePoint list that you were sending your data into, sometimes you might have felt like you were giving people some access to that. This process keeps that separated.
It eliminates a step too, right?
Yeah, there's no Power Automate to understand and complete and fill out. And here's our form. I could have gave it a title, but it's you've got your drop downs built in. That's not a problem. So all those same features that are in the SharePoint list itself are already built right into this form if I want to fill it out. That's what I've got for what's new, big items.
Okay, I have a couple related to Copilot that I'm gonna show real quick. Let me just share my screen real fast. There's a new page. Come on back, teams. All right, there we go. There's a new page available. I'm gonna drop a link to it in the chat. That is some documentation around features available in Copilot. So this is brand new. You can see it's just a few days old. We're recording this on the 10th of April, so it's only been out for about a week. This page. But you're actually going to get to see some of the parameters around what you can do with Copilot. And it's going to break it into two sections. We talked about what used to be called Bing Chat Enterprise a few months ago. And so that would be this first column here. And then we also talked about the paid version of Copilot, which would be Copilot for Microsoft 365, which would be this column here. So you finally get some documentation that the IT people might appreciate, like, hey, what are the limitations of this? What are some of the things that we can do with this? Well, hey, we actually have it written down now. And there's actually some extra sections down here where we talk about two new features that, Joe, I can't remember if we talked about Notebook to this audience or not, but I'll cover it real quick. In just a moment, and also file upload as well as designer. So we did show, because I remember vividly that Joe made some really cute pictures of little people made out of lemons and stuff like that, using Copilot to actually generate images. So that's going to be the designer section here. So you see some of the daily limits, like some of these things are very CPU intensive. They require a lot of horsepower to do. So those things are going to have, hey, you can only do that X number of times in one day because it just requires a lot of horsepower to do it. So you're going to see things here like a worker school account. You'll get 15 image boosts per day. That's actually in writing now. So all the IT people should all rejoice and be happy. Hey, we can actually share this with our users and show that there is some documented documentation. That was super redundant. So I want to show that the interface of Copilot has changed a little bit. We were really intentional about our training when we showed you all the signals that you should be looking for to know that you're in the protected version of Copilot. So if you log into Copilot using your work or school account, you are using what we call Copilot with commercial data protection. Just a quick refresher, that basically gets you two additional levels of protection. Number one, you'll see that there's no history of my prompts. You cannot see, like normally on the sidebar, there'd be like something over here that's like, oh, here's all the things you asked about. That's not there. That's because the prompts are not saved. And whatever you prompt in the box down here is not going to be used to train the large language model. So those are basically the two things that you get with Copilot commercial data protection. There used to be more signals inside of the app. There used to be some text down here. like right about there, if I remember correctly, that would say like your personal and company data are protected in this chat. There was another green thing somewhere. Plus, there was this up here that says protected. Well, you can see we've streamlined the interface. It says protected at the top right corner. That is the indication that you're going to get to let you know that you're in Copilot with commercial data protection. So you're still looking for a green shield, but it's just one of them. Make sure that that's there before you start putting company data into this AI engine, right? The other thing that's new is this add a file option. So you can now upload a small file to Copilot as, you know, part of your prompt, basically. So if you had a Word document that you wanted to ask questions about the Word document, you could upload the Word document directly to Copilot and say, hey, you know what, summarize this for me, or come up with some good interview questions based off this, document or something like that. So that's pretty new. You may not see that right now. They are rolling that out like individually. So just random people around the world see it at certain periods of time. So if you don't see it right now, just hang tight. You'll probably see it in the very near future. There's also screenshots and stuff like this that you could do. Take a photo. So I could, I guess take a picture with a camera. I'm not really sure. There's a screenshot option that I don't see right now, oddly enough, but it's usually there. I actually use this. My IFAS people and extension people will be pretty happy, I think. I use it to identify some plants that I was thinking about planting outside. I was looking at pictures of pretty landscapes, and I was like, oh, I really like that. What is that thing? And I took a screenshot of it, fed it to Copilot, and said, what is this? And is it compatible with Florida friendly landscaping? Got some good information back on it, which I thought was pretty cool. And the last thing is Notebook. You're going to see Notebook. That should be fully rolled out. There are some pretty big changes here. The prompt size of this, which I don't see it in the UI anymore, but you'll actually see it here, is 18,000 characters. You could paste pretty much a whole document into that prompt and have Copilot do stuff with it. The other thing about Notebook that's really nice is you can prompt it, and then you're gonna prompt here, right? And then you're gonna get your output here. And then if you want to change your prompt, you just change it on the left and you get a new updated result on the right, versus having to go back and forth in a chat. So this is for a process that I would call prompt iteration. Like maybe you're working on a prompt, you're kind of dialing it in. We talked about prompt engineering a little bit, kind of trying to refine it, maybe reword it just a little bit to get a better result. This is a really good way to do that because you can really quickly just keep modifying your prompt without losing it. When you prompt something in chat, I can't even think of anything right now, but just if you were prompting here, you would send your prompt to the system and then your chat box resets. And because it's expecting you to have a follow-up question. So to get your prompt back, you'd have to go scroll up, copy, paste, start a new chat, something like that. So this Notebook feature is really powerful for refining a prompt and for pasting in massive amounts of information all at once. 18,000 characters that's a lot. Joe, you said that's like 6 or 7 pages or something, right? And it's a whole bunch.
Yeah, I think I had like four like solid pages of a PDF that I tried in there fit nicely.
Okay, so that's my what's new. I guess we'll transition now over into webinars and town halls, and I'm just going to talk for a moment. I might click around a little bit and do some stuff, but I want to talk about the 2 tools that are available, and I also want to bring up a matrix. This is not a conversation about Teams Premium. But I wouldn't be able to talk about webinars and town halls if I didn't mention it. This is a really good list of features. So let me scroll up here. This is a really good list of features that you get to see what would you have with Teams out of the box. And then you're going to see the checkboxes on the right, which is going to say, what would it add if I had a Teams Premium license? So I will tell you that webinars and town halls are incredibly powerful without Teams Premium. They are, Joe and I have done many webinars before Teams Premium even existed, and it is incredibly powerful. However, if your role was an event coordinator or something like that, a Teams Premium license might make sense for you if you're scheduling lots of meetings, because when it comes to webinars and town halls, the organizer of the meeting, if the organizer of the meeting has a Teams Premium license, then it will light up these features for that scheduled meeting. But you can see some of the features that come with webinars, whether or not you have Teams Premium. So requiring registration, that is going to be the difference between a town hall and a webinar primarily. A webinar is going to include a registration page where people have to go sign up for your webinar. There are a lot of services out there that I know extension agents use that are outside the cloud or whatever. They're their own independent registration services. Sometimes they have a cost associated with them. Sometimes they don't. I don't really know what the benefits are of them versus this, but I can tell you that a Teams webinar has its own built-in registration mechanism. You're going to get things like the ability to assign co-organizers, which means if Joe and I were running the event together, and by running the event, I don't mean presenting at the event. I mean actually running the event. Like we are the ones making it happen. And maybe we're coordinating guest speakers. That is a different thing. But you can have different co-organizers who can help you run the event. You can limit your webinar. So a webinar in Teams will have 1,000 seats. You could limit it to 200 if you wanted to. You can let people who registered for the webinar jump right into the meeting. So when folks register for a webinar, they get a unique link for them specifically, which means that they can get into the webinar with their own link. But if they forward that link around to a bunch of people, it's not going to work for a whole bunch of people. It's only going to work for, I think, 3 people. So if they're sharing links, you know that's a fear. Like, hey, people signed up for my webinar and then they took the link and posted it on Facebook or something. There's a little bit of a protection built in for that here. You can accept questions using Q&A, which is an app inside of Teams. The chat can get kind of crazy. Think about a meeting chat with 3 extension agents and 997 random people from the general public, right?
You need a few more agents to manage that chat.
Yeah. Yeah. If 900 people sign up for your webinar, you need to recruit an army of people. And think about the impact that you could put in your report for the end of the year of what a massive webinar you helped make successful. But the chat might not be the best place to take questions because it could just be chaos. So you can actually turn the chat off and reroute everyone over to a dedicated app that's built right into Teams for Q&A, which I'll show. You get attendance reports, and then Green Room. Green Room's pretty cool. Green Room is like a little pre-event space where, let's see, I'm the organizer, Joe's my co-organizer, Kevin is coming in as an expert speaker, and of course, Jay Craig's going to be there as for comedic relief, right? Right, Jay Craig. So he's a presenter as well. We have a green room, which means that before the event actually goes live and the people in the audience can see us, we can all see each other. So that gives me an opportunity to do, audio checks and sound checks and make sure everybody's familiar with the controls and they feel good about what they're doing. We're all on the same page. Microphones sound good. Cameras look good. Okay, we're ready. And then we hit go live and boom, that turns the meeting on. So all the people who are waiting for the event to start will then be able to see and hear us. So pretty cool. Manage what attendees can see, and all these other check marks here are going to be a part of premium. The big ones here are going to be things like automations around custom email reminders and follow-ups. That's the one that I honestly see being the most the biggest requested one that people want a premium license for. That and waitlist. Waitlist is also big. So maybe you can only handle 200 people, but you want to have a wait list. So the wait list will automatically take the next person in line if one of the 200 cancels their registration, which that's pretty powerful. Now, let's scroll down here to town halls. You can see similar kinds of checkboxes, but the first one, I mean, 10,000 attendees. This is crazy. This is included with an A3 license. Of course, A5 would have it as well. So A3 or A5. You're going to have the ability to host a meeting that is broadcast to up to 10,000 people. If you add on that Teams premium license, that number doubles. So you get 20,000 people. And remember, only the organizer needs that to enable that limit, that huge audience capacity. You're going to get attendance reports. You're going to get the ability to manage what attendees can see. And I'll try to show this real quick after I get done, talking too much about all this stuff. Videos on demand, unique links for presenters. This is also available in webinars. This is a big one. I've used this myself. It is wonderful. It is super common to have a speaker from the industry, right? Or a speaker from another institution. They don't have an account in your environment. How do they get into the meeting? Where's the meeting link? Like all the things that we normally hear, right? So both webinars and town halls now have a feature in them where you can define someone as a presenter, even if they're not from your company. And they get their own special invite that has their own special link. And when they click that link, it pulls them into the meeting automatically as a presenter. They bypass the lobby. They join the meeting straight away, just like you would or somebody internally would. So they come in with the correct role and they get right into the call right away. So you're minimizing that friction for that external speaker. There's also some nerdier capabilities in here, like RTMP input. That is something you would be doing with like an encoder and doing streaming. Like we want to stream a video directly into the meeting, that kind of stuff. Translated captions in up to 6 languages. This is a bit of a sore subject, but a long time ago, Microsoft released a feature for live translated captions as public preview. Once it exited its preview, it then was bundled with Teams Premium. So if you wanted to have the ability to host a meeting and have your voice captioned into a different language, it would require you to have a Teams Premium license. However, with town halls, you can do that without premium in up to 6 languages. If you added premium, it would give you 10 languages. You don't need to pick the languages. It automatically adds them. People can pick them from a menu on their own. It allows the end user to say, I want to listen to this meeting in Spanish or read caption this meeting in Spanish. They could do that decision on their own, while another person could do it in Portuguese.
Dwayne.
Yes.
Dwayne, the ability for that, I think one thing to bring up at this point is the reminder that with this town hall taking over what used to be the live events, there's that delay happening in order for there to be time to provide that service.
Yes.
So there's a slight delay between what you're saying live in the location that you are and the time in which the viewer sees your information.
And that could be similar to when you watch live sports on TV, right? When you watch the guy catch the touchdown pass and run into the end zone, by the time it actually gets to your TV set in your living room, that event actually already happened in real life, right? It takes time for all that processing to happen and for it to actually get to you. Same thing with town halls. Is your live audience is going to be running about 20 or 25 seconds behind what's actually happening. Normally, that doesn't ever present an issue. Normally, that doesn't matter. The only time it matters is if you were to actually ask the audience to do something. If you were going to ask them to use the Q&A app and punch in their favorite color, they're not actually going to hear you say that for about 20 to 25 seconds. So you do need to remember that that processing is taking place. But that is because, some of these things right here where we talk about CDN, that is because when you spin one of these things up, it is automatically replicating to an entire massive, what we call content delivery network, so that people from all over the world or country or whatever can tune into it basically from a point closest to them. And it takes time for that kind of stuff to happen. And in addition to that, like Joe called out, the time it takes for us to take your voice and turn it into 6 languages, it takes a second. So there's a little bit of processing that has to happen there. But one of the biggest things I want to point out that's different between town halls here and webinars here is your webinars have a registration mechanism, your town halls do not. A town hall is the idea is this is a massive event. You likely already have your own way of distributing the meeting information. It could be a company-wide meeting, a college-wide meeting, it could be a county-wide meeting, right? Whatever you're doing already to publicize that event, you are going to do that with town halls. You don't have a sign-up sheet like you do with webinars. The other big difference is you will not see the audience in a town hall, and the audience will not see each other. They have no notion of who else is on the call. Joe and I have done some interesting online sessions for topics that I guess could be what, Joe, like sensitive, I guess, in nature, like couples advice, that kind of stuff. Do you want to jump on a call for like couples advice and see your neighbor on the call and be like, oh, hey, I guess Joe's having some, problems in his personal life? That's kind of an exposure in a sense, right? So town halls is another good option if you have some privacy or sensitivity concerns and you do not want the audience seeing each other. You could do that with a town hall. Now, webinars, I'm trying to see, there's attendee masking. I don't see it on here. Yeah, I don't know where it's at, but there is yeah, here we go. Hide attendee names. I think you could still do that with a webinar if you have premium license, but you don't need a premium license just to run town hall. So enough yapping. Let me actually show you how some of this stuff works. All right, so we're in the Teams calendar in the Teams app. You're going to want to click up here on, let's make this red. You're going to want to click on this little down arrow in the Teams calendar. So we're going to pop that down. And now you're going to see a few templates that you can pick from. Webinar and town hall. Let's start with webinar. You'll see right away that the interface is a little bit different from your normal meeting. There's actually like event management type stuff that you're going to do here. So we're just going to make this a demo. We'll just make it Cloudy County. Whoops. Cloudy County webinar. And we're going to schedule it for today from 4 to 5 p.m. We're going to do it at the very end of the day. As I scroll down, I'm going to start defining those speakers, those people who are helping me. So in this particular one of my co-organizers, I really need, Worf is really good at, securing the audience. So he's going to help me do that. I'm going to have a presenter. So I might pick Beverly. She's really good at speaking. So she's going to be a presenter. Here's my external presenter option. So maybe I've got a speaker that I want to pull in from the outside, right? So we're going to put in this guy, put my email address out there for everybody to see. So this guy is going to receive a unique invite link to his Outlook account. And it actually tells you that right there, will receive unique join links. As I scroll down, this is pretty important. If you schedule your webinar and you mistakenly say only people in my organization can register, you cannot convert it. Even if people have already started signing up, you have to destroy it and create a new webinar. So it's very important that you make sure you pick the right one of these. Do you want people from outside of your option or outside of your organization to be able to sign up for this event? As extension agents, I'm guessing that's mostly the default, right? Is if you're speaking to the public, you need, you want people from the public to be able to sign up, right? Now, you see, I can't really do anything else here. I can't really click on and continue because I actually have to save the event first. I cannot do any of these other options until I save the event. So I'm going to save and send invites. So what this means it's going to do is it's going to send an invite to the people that I have defined here. They're all going to get a meeting on their calendar as my like event crew, right? They're part of the making this event happen. So save and send. All right. So now that I have done that, now I can start actually working on my site, like my page and my meeting and how my meeting is going to look. I can manage applications. So if I wanted to add teams, I don't know why that's popping me out into a new window. That's annoying. Um, we'll do that later. You can add apps. So like meeting polls, those types of things are supported in a webinar. You can also tweak your options. So this is also going to pop me out uh, where you can say, you know, if you had, let's see, and Joe, I don't know if you're seeing this. Have you seen that it's now being divided into these little categories now? This
Yeah,
is a
that's
newer,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, don't know if I've seen that just yet.
Yeah, so this is a little bit different. If you're used to seeing all of it on one screen, we have these little categories now where you can jump straight to security, that kind of stuff.
There's a question in the chat about can you turn off meeting chat on the webinars? And I
Yep,
think we just saw that there.
yep,
So if you didn't want a chatty webinar, you could turn that off.
absolutely. Yep, you could just turn it off. And this is kind of the scenario we were talking about earlier, where 3 agents and 997, you know, public people, chat might not be the right tool for the job when it comes to taking questions.
And you can do
So,
that live in the middle of the
mhm,
meeting too, if
yep,
you wanted to turn it on
yep.
for 5 minutes and turn it back off.
As an organizer or a co-organizer, you can on the fly enable or disable the chat in the meeting. You don't have to like reset anything or any. You can do all that on the fly. You can actually access this exact same menu, and any of the changes that you make here will be reflected in the meeting live. What we're doing is we are kind of setting some of them for you as a template, more or less. You know, in a webinar, you likely don't want the audience to have audio and video access, right? You don't want them coming off mute in the middle of your, you know, important speaker's presentation. So we're going to set all this stuff for you automatically. That doesn't mean that it's impossible for the audience to use their microphone. So let's say you had a portion of the call where somebody wanted to raise their hand and ask a question, and you are okay with that, you could allow that person to come off of mute and ask their question. So some of these options I get to see because I have a premium license on this account, but I'm trying to see if there's any. Oh yeah, this one's really important. Oops. Yeah, let's get into that. So we've got one option that's back there, and that is tied to this option right here. This is going to reject anybody who tries to join your webinar without a valid, unique link to their webinar. And you're going to see it says there, like option is only enabled when people who have registered can bypass the lobby. And that means it's going to reject anybody who cannot bypass the lobby. So the only way you can bypass the lobby is if you have a valid registration link. If you try to join this any other way, somebody shared their link with you or something like that, it is not going to let you in the meeting at all. So this is kind of a nice way to say, like, if you are not on the list that signed up, you can't get in. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to bounce out of that so I can race through these other things. Presenter bios. This is kind of cool. You could go in here and you can edit this and you can say, you know, she is the, you know, chief medical officer. I can upload her picture, which I think I may actually have a picture somewhere. Where is that profile pics? Starfleet. Look at this. Add her picture. So there's her picture. Hit done. So that's going to show up on the registration page. She is from the United Federation of Planets. If I could type frankly today, I could add her LinkedIn profile. I could, just say she's awesome. So this is your speakers, right? Your speakers who are presenting at the event. That's a pretty common thing to put on a registration page is who am I going to actually be signing up to listen to? So you could put all kinds of information about them right there. So I'm gonna click save. Now, when you have an external presenter, I really like this. Joe, what's the most common question we always hear when we're working with people on Teams meetings?
Where's the link?
It's almost a joke now. So if your guest speaker says, "Where's the link? I don't have the link. How do I get in? The invite went to my spam. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never used Teams before." You could go to this page, grab their unique link, copy it to your clipboard, email it to them directly, paste it into an instant message, something like that. You can get and retrieve that link that will only work for that individual. So that's really, really important. Guest speaker, if it's an external speaker, you have to come in here and fill all this stuff out. So this would be, Dwayne Hyatt. He is from Microsoft. He does stuff with the cloud, makes the cloud go. So we could add all that. You can pick a theme for your page. You can make your own imagery for this. So if you have your own logo that you want to change this out with, so you want to change this out with your state seal or something like that. I think I might actually have thought I had a logo in here somewhere. Let's see, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just take my word for it. You could change this with a logo. In the interest of time, I just want to keep rushing through this. You could change your banner background and make it something really extravagant that explains like the title of your webinar, make it look really cool. While you're playing with this, you can hit view draft so you can actually hit the website of this and see what it looks like before it goes live, before you publish it. So this is what people are going to see. They're going to see Cloudy County webinar. That was the title of the meeting that you created. So that is shown there. You could edit this background image to include more text and graphics and times and, rules or whatever you want to do there. Your details are going to be there. You're going to have your speakers there. Your little logo is going to be right here. People can register for it right there. So the page isn't live yet, but this allows you like a preview of it so you can see what it looks like. So I'm just going to publish it because I want to hurry up because we're running out of time. So here's my registration link. I'm going to actually sign up for this using another account. So we can see a person registering for it. I would paste it in the chat and have all of you sign up for it, but then your email addresses would be captured on the recording, and that's no good. So I'm from the organization, so I'd already filled all my information, but if I wasn't, I'd be prompted to type all that stuff in. So I'm going to register. So I get the event link where if I want to share it, I could. There's some automatic prompts here to share it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called now. But I'm going to get a registration email that's going to let me know. I could also click the add to my calendar there as well. So eventually this is going to come through into my email, I'm guessing. But they would send me a calendar invite and it would add it to my calendar. Over on the organizer side, oh yeah, look at that. You're registered. Boom, just came in. So I get a straight up calendar invite. I like this. This is really, really important. I'm not getting a attached ICS file that I have to download. I mean, I am getting an attached ICS file, but I am getting a direct calendar invite that all I have to do is click accept. Now it's on my calendar. I don't have to download anything. I can if I want to. Maybe I'm on a device that would work better, but if I'm on a computer, just accepting a calendar invite is a lot better off. So now over on the organizer side, if I look at registration, I can configure my registration here. I can look at my number of registered users. So I only have one registered user right now, but you will see that fill up. You'll also see people that cancel. They can manage their own registration via that page. So if I needed to change my registration, I could do that here. I could cancel it myself if I needed to drop for whatever reason. If we're being honest, do people actually do that? They just don't show up. So um, with again, with premium, I do have some of these added capabilities here to customize my emails that get sent out. So when people sign up and they register, there's a trigger here that says I want to immediately send them a confirmation email. I can edit that confirmation email. So I could then brand the email, which is pretty powerful. I can also do like follow-ups and stuff. So for this webinar reminder, like, hey, 1 hour before the webinar starts, you're getting an email to make sure you don't forget. These are really nice, having those capabilities there. Also, lots of reports. There's also live analytics reports that happen during the meeting as well. And again, with premium, you're going to get things like how many people raise their hand, those types of things. You get an engagement report also. Now, if I were to join this meeting, so we're going to join. I'm in the meeting. Remember I talked about Green Room? So this gives me an opportunity to test my audio. So we're going to mute my speakers. And I haven't actually started the event yet. It is currently pending. It says not started. This gives me an opportunity to have that conversation with my speakers, with my, everybody, make sure we're all on the same page. Now, Beverly, we're going to get her to hop into that meeting as well. Also mute her speakers. So if Beverly hops in, I can say, all right, Beverly, looking great. Everything's awesome. We're ready to go. We'll start the meeting. Now, what if somebody who registered for the webinar tried to get into it and, we weren't ready for them? So join the event. All right. So I just see like it hasn't started yet because we're in the green room. I do see here, however, that we have one person waiting. So I do have some visibility to know like, oh, there's people backing up. Like there's, super popular. There's people waiting. The floodgates are about to open. So if we decide that we're ready, I can click start meeting. And this is going to open the green room, turn that off. Boom. Now we're there. Now look, I have an idea. I see who's in this meeting, the people column, the registrations, all those people. I'm going to get to see them and interact with them. They could use that chat. I see their names. They're going to see each other's names. That's a big one to remember here. This person who joined it, he could raise his hand if he had a question. I will see that. I could right click and say, allow mic and say, hey, you can come off mute and ask your question. Like this is way more interactive versus a town hall. So let's race through a town hall real quick. Sorry, I'm giving you like this super abbreviated version of this, trying to cram it all in there. New town hall. Very similar. We don't need to go too far into it. So it's going to be Cloudy County Town Hall. We could do the same times, you're going to schedule, you're going to create your crew, your people who are going to be helping you before the invites actually go out and the not registration, but the event page goes live. Choose our co-organizers. We'll choose Wharf again. Beverly is going to be our guest speaker again. Same thing with external presenters. They will receive a unique link. Now with the town hall, you can lock it down one layer further. You could say only people within my organization that belong to a specific group. I don't know, like Joe, maybe if you got any ideas there on how that might be used, but it's possible that you only want the College of Business to come to this town hall.
That's what I was thinking. Smaller departments, college level, board of directors, those kind of things.
Yeah. So, but remember, town halls they're kind of intended for a large audience, but they're also intended for a really one-way presentation. You're not going to see or hear the audience ever. It's not even possible in a town hall. I'm going to make it public. You can add people onto the invite, list of people, distribution list, groups, stuff like that if you want to. But that's pretty much it for configuring it. So I'm going to click save and send. All right. I can publish my link. So that what I just did on save and send, that fired off the calendar invite to my crew of my people who are helping me run this event and my presenters. I will publish it so that there is now a link that people can use to access. So I'll click copy. Now we added Wharf and Beverly, but we didn't add Dwayne. So we'll show you what happens when Dwayne tries to join. You are going to get some automations here with this as well, but remember, there's no registration for this. There's no sign up. All you are doing is distributing that link. So you can always get that link here. I would suggest using something like a URL shortener or something like that too, you know, a Bitly or whatever service you want to use to do that. So we are going to go ahead and join that event, and you're going to see that this looks very different. Very different. We're going to mute Nestor here, but Nestor's camera is on. So check this out. This looks a little different, right? We have green room. I see that. But now I've got this whole thing where it says bring presenters on screen and share the content. What you can do with the town hall is you have the option of manage what attendees can see. So if Nestor is going to be speaking, you just right click on him and say bring on screen. Now the audience can only see what you bring on screen. So if you've got 10 people as a part of your event crew and 9 of them have their cameras on, the audience is only going to see the ones that you select. This is really cool if you've got an interview, right? I'm interviewing Joe. Like, hey, Joe, what's it like being a Microsoft MVP? You know, you get to go on free cruises every year with other MVPs. You know, what was that life like? I could interview him and pull on just me and him onto the stage. And then our next segment is the next speaker. And then we pull Joe off and we bring on our next speaker. I'll show you what it looks like if you try to join this. So
I
I
like
just pasted
that area that you're working in there is sort of like a canvas where you've got like a little thumbnail of the images of each person who's going to be presenting, and you can just kind of, you're not dragging them over, but you're kind of putting them onto that canvas, and now everybody can see them.
Yep. Yep. If Beverly were to join this with no camera, she wouldn't be eligible to be brought on screen because she's, well, I guess she is. I didn't think that would work. I don't know why that works, but you can see her avatar, I guess. So let me take her off. Same kind of deal. I've got one person waiting. I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. This is a really good moment. Let me put Nestor on the screen. I'm going to start the meeting. It says one attendee will enter the meeting. So once it starts, I'm going to flip over so you can see that attendee's experience. This will illustrate the delay. So it says this meeting hasn't started yet. I just clicked it. I guess when this gets to YouTube, people watching this later, you'll actually be able to see how many seconds it took from the time I hit start meeting to the time that this attendee actually starts to see the presenter speaking. So we should see Nestor, in this case, pop up on the screen and start, you know, his fake talking, the looping video. But this is illustrating that background, not background, but that delay. As an attendee, I can control my captions. So I click it once to turn it on. I click it again. Oh, there he is. Boom, he's on. So I will do this in Spanish, and let me unmute Nestor's microphone. So now Nestor is speaking. In about 20 to 25 seconds, you will see the captions start to come across. So not a huge deal. Like I said, unless you are giving the audience an explicit instruction, you want them to do something. So let me flip over to Nestor. So we don't actually see the captions coming through yet, but again, give it a few seconds and you'll start to see the captions come across on the bottom in Spanish. Nestor, who was the organizer of this meeting, has a Teams Premium license. So when the audience clicks the languages, they're going to see the full 10 languages that they could pick from. That's why all of these are available. Again, like I said, only the organizer of the town hall. Sorry, forgot to mute my speakers. I was hearing myself 20 seconds ago. So I think that's pretty powerful. Also, look, you don't actually see the audience, so we have no idea who's there. Can't see him, can't hear him. The only way that they can interact with us is through Q&A. When you launch Q&A for the first time, and I know we're 1 minute over, I'm really trying to rush because this is important. This is the only way you get to have engagement with your audience in a town hall. 10,000 people. Think about that for a second. You don't want chat. Trust me, you don't want chat. You want a moderated mechanism for Q&A. So when you start the Q&A app, you get a little gear here and you get some controls. You can say, I want to moderate the question. So what this means is, imagine someone asks a question that's very inappropriate. Imagine they use the Q&A to say something, not ask a question. You can turn that, you can gatekeep those. You can decide if those are appropriate or not, and you can discard them if they're not. So if you turn this on, it's going to make the whole Q&A session become moderated. So you need to have someone on your crew, like maybe that's Beverly's job. She is watching the Q&A and feeding those to the people in the meeting. You can also decide if you want people to have the ability to ask questions anonymously. So I'll turn that on. So click save. Now, when an attendee clicks Q&A, they can ask a question and say, this is dumb. They're super not happy with whatever you're posting and they want to do it anonymously. That's their question. When we flip back over to Nestor and he looks at the Q&A, he says in review, this is dumb. He can dismiss it or publish it, and you could answer it and publish it so people see the answers. You can verbally feed these to your speakers. You can use the chat inside of this meeting. This chat is only visible by the people who are running your meeting. This chat is not visible by the audience. So just a
Great
few
place
tips
to
there.
put information with respect to when you got like 5 minutes left,
Yep.
things like that to ping your speakers.
Yeah, this is like your walkie-talkie. This is your behind-the-scenes communication to make sure that everybody knows that they're on script or they're on pace or they're off pace. Hey, you're muted. Those kinds of things. You could do that in the chat. So big takeaways. Webinars are huge, 1,000 people max. They include a registration portal. Town halls are huger. They're 10,000 people. 20K with Teams Premium, much more streamlined delivery. Manage what attendees can see, no names, no chat, much more streamlined delivery. But both of these, you already have them. I would have bet all of you already have them. So give it a try. Open up your Teams app, click that little drop down and see what you got here. If you see webinar and town hall, boom, you're off to the races. Give it a try.
Dwayne, if we can take another minute here real quick, is we've been talking about Teams Premium. Some of those features perhaps are very valuable for someone who's presenting a lot, but also someone who is in a lot of meetings. And I don't know if could you share again real quick and just show Teams Recap, since we've kind of talked about Teams Premium, just finish that conversation real quick. I think if we go back and look at our previous recordings, Teams Recap will be there. The Teams Recap, when you see this, is a nice little AI portion added into Microsoft Teams for those who have this license. License is around $2 a month for Teams Premium. And some of these features, I think, especially if you are, again, someone who's doing a lot of presenting and wants some of those extra features, or someone who's in a lot of meetings, can probably pay for itself.
Yeah, definitely. I misunderstood the assignment, Joe. I shared the wrong window, but I still shared one with a meeting recap on it.
Yeah.
So this is a meeting that we run every Thursday. But yeah, all the meeting notes and all that stuff is automatically added to this as a part of Teams Premium. But one of the big things that Joe called out that I think is nice is the retail price for education of Teams Premium is $2 a month. $2 a month gets you a 20,000 seat webinar license, basically. I'm pretty sure that's got to be the cheapest out there. But again, I don't want this to sound like I'm trying to sell you Teams Premium. You already have A3, A5. You already have webinars and town halls. It's bolting on extra things that are nice to use that you get with the premium. Premium is not required for you to host successful large meetings. Joe and I have done it for years before premium even existed. You just get extra bits that are nice to haves, not requirements. But I'm going to kill the recording and we'll hang out for a few more minutes. Joe, if you can, I appreciate you taking time away from your conference to hang out with us. He's at a PowerShell conference with a bunch of nerds. But I'll kill the recording and we'll hang out for a few minutes if anybody wants to come off and ask some questions.